First Things, episode 147.
I seem to be lost.
And so you're working around the clock so you don't take time for yourself to feel like an actual human being.
I used to feel like no matter how hard I worked, I was just spinning my wheels.
Try to be perfect. We try to have everything in place at one point in time, and you can't.
Hello and welcome to First Things, the podcast dedicated to practical productivity based on modern research. My name is Dr. Brandon Vaughn, and it's my goal to help you apply productive solutions to your life to help you live with less stress, greater passion, and amazing results. So today we are going to do a review of Michael Hyatt's Free to Focus book in total, to go back through the big lessons that hopefully we learn by going through this book, go through all the different nuances of it again in this episode. And then remember that next week we will get into a review of all three books and go through this as well. I've been thinking about what to do in the future, still thinking about things, but what I plan on doing is to take December of 2023 off. So if I understand everywhere of where we'll hit with these episodes, so this episode should basically arrive right around Thanksgiving time of 2023. The summary of all of these different books would launch hopefully around the 1st of December. What I think I will do is for the rest of the month, so normally we'd have about 4 more episodes that month, but I think I will take the month of December off just to think and reflect on what it is that I want to do. Now, I do promise I will be back as far as I know. I just want to think through, what do I want to do? What do I want next year to be about? What do I want to talk about, cover? Do I want to start doing my own materials? Do I want to do a video podcast and publish the audio of that? Do I want to do something different in how I approach this? It's just going to be a good time just to take a break and reflect. I think we've had a really busy year. We've covered a lot of material, so I would recommend that you go back and listen to some of that. Who knows, if I get some time, maybe I'll just toss up some old episodes that you can listen to in December, but you could hopefully do that anyway. I might just take a complete break, who knows. But I don't plan on doing any new episodes during this time. So hopefully you'll come back in January, hear some brand new content from me, and then we'll go from there. So let's talk a little bit about the world of productivity guided by the insights we've gotten from Free to Focus. Let's talk again about what the strategies are that we learn about this. It's a very holistic approach that really redefines productivity because it helps us focus on doing more of what matters, less so on doing more stuff, which is a lot of productivity stuff out there is more about do more and more and more. How do you get more stuff done? This book is about maybe you should be focused more on what you should be doing and doing the most important things and sacrificing the thought that you're going to do everything. It's really what started my peak in modern things. I tell you another book that you should go out and buy today, besides the Rest book by William Pang. Did I get William's first name? No, maybe not. Is the Stephen Covey book, which is First Things First. Some point we'll cover that book. Very, very similar to this. So let's start reviewing this. Let's start by reminding yourselves that we've got to clear the decks of this, which means that we've got to start carving out some space and time to focus on implementing these new strategies. Means triaging your calendar, looping in your assistants if you have them, using some chat GPT if you need to rearrange your commitments. The idea is you got to buy yourself some time to focus on what truly matters and what's truly important to you, which is partly why I'm probably going to be taking December off, because I need to do this. I need to think through, and the best way to think through it is to create some margin in my life and start thinking through my life and what I want to do and what I want next year to be about. And taking a whole sabbatical in December basically sounds really good to me. How do you measure where you stand on your productivity? The book recommends using this Free to Focus productivity assessment. You can look this up to basically help you set a baseline where you are at, where you need to go. And once you know where you're at, the next step is to clarify your objective. Why do you want to be productive? Productivity, as we said, isn't about doing more things. It's about doing more of the right things. It's about doing the right things and eliminating the things that don't really matter to you. High performance for its own sake is a fast track to burnout. To help you identify what these right things are, this is where the book introduces you to things like the Freedom Compass. These tools are about evaluating what's working for you and what's not, steering you towards tasks that align with your goal. Another key concept that we've talked about, I just mentioned a while ago, is to schedule margin in your life. It's crucial that you reserve time for rejuvenation, whether that's morning, weekends, evenings, or taking a month off, like what I'm thinking about doing so I can think through this podcast more. Because you need this, because you need mental and emotional energy to maximize your focus during your work hours. And not last on this list is to remember about pruning the overgrowth. That is doing things like the not to-do list, using your Freedom Compass as a guide, being strategic and eliminating tasks from your calendar and task list, both now and in the future as well. Productivity isn't a sprint, it's a marathon, and setting some clear objectives and prioritizing the right task are your first steps towards something that is sustainable, that is also your high impact work as well. Now, we go into the next step of this, which is to start streamlining your workload. And the big part of productivity, as the Free to Focus book teaches us, is about trying to eliminate, automate, and delegate. This is probably the number one thing you should pick up from this book. Is the way that you're going to achieve your goals is to stay inside of your desire zone, to eliminate your drudgery zone. And the way you do that is to eliminate, to automate, and to delegate. That's probably the number one thing you need to walk away with from this book. The next biggest thing is we'll talk about later is just this idea. Well, we'll get to that. I won't get into all of that too soon. Let's talk about elimination, automation, and delegation. So in a way, we've hinted at elimination in your not to-do list, but it's a good thing to go through your list and to periodically purge it and to see what things you can quit doing, things that you can get out of, things that you can stop doing, maybe pay someone to do for you. That's more kind of bordering on delegation. Automation, delegation is also really big in there. It starts with stopping the overthinking loop and establishing some effective rituals, which we talked about as well. Think about your daily activities, especially those repetitive ones. The book suggests to us that we establish rituals for your morning, evening, and even your work day startup and shutdown rituals. Once you set those routines once, they keep rolling without a lot of attention. Automation is a big thing. These are tasks or processes that you find yourself repeatedly doing. If you find anything that you are constantly, repeatedly doing, it's time to automate that. Now, this could be as simple as going grocery shopping. So if you find that you're constantly buying milk and bread every single week, maybe you should automate that where it's automatically delivered for you every Thursday. So you just don't have to worry about it anymore and do it. You could actually do this. And we've talked about in those episodes that you can sometimes feel a little bit lazy, like, I should be doing this. But by paying someone else to do that, you're providing for their income and their needs and enabling them to have a job or a career or something like that, and freeing your time to do other things as well. So it isn't a negative thing. It isn't that you're lazy, but anything that you can automate, you should try to do. There are countless tools and software that can help you do this as well. We talked about this in those episodes that can save you a significant amount of time and energy. What about the tasks that you can't automate? Well, this is where if you can't eliminate it, it needs to be done and you can't automate it, then the next step would be that you delegate it. And using a delegation hierarchy in that chapter, you can go through this. This is where you can start offloading tasks to other team members, or you can pay someone to do this, hiring freelance help. You can hire a virtual assistant. You can hire somebody to do that. Like I said, when it comes to the grocery shopping, not only can you automate it, so you can automate, say, certain things on Amazon to just naturally deliver, but you can delegate and have someone do your grocery shopping for you at your local grocery store and deliver it to you so that you don't have to spend 30 minutes or an hour in the grocery store doing that. That would be a delegation type of thing. We also talked about how ChatGPT can be used as a free virtual assistant for you to where you can have it delegate things and do things for you. Write this email for me, and it do a much better job and faster than even you would have done. So the whole goal of this is to remember is that you have these 4 quadrants. You have the drudgery zone, which is things that you don't like doing and you're not very good at. Then you have the distraction zone, things that you like, but that you aren't very proficient at. And then you have the all these other zones. The ideal zone is the top one, which is the desire zone. Those are things that you love and that you're really good at. This is where you want to be focused on, spending most of your time in that desire zone. And the way that you do that is you look at all the tasks primarily in your drudgery zone and get rid of them. Eliminate them, automate them, delegate them, and move forward from there. Big thing. I can't stress how game-changing that was for me. Big area for us to really focus in on and to keep that in mind constantly in your day-to-day life. So now we're getting into what I consider the second biggest thing that you can deal with in your life, the other game-changing moment from this book for me, and that is in your planning. So an essential aspect of Free to Focus is designing your week and day to have maximum effectiveness. Now, what the book suggests, which is part of the game changer, so this is kind of a part 1, part 2 game-changing moment, is what they call the ideal week. An ideal week is about giving the future some structure. It involves deciding when you want to do what. It is about what you would do with your week if you had 100% control. And again, assuming that it's a typical week. So we're not talking about taking a vacation. Yeah, my ideal week would be to spend on the beaches of Hawaii drinking margaritas. All right, no, we're not talking that. We're saying, what would you do if this week was a typical week that you had to work and you had to do stuff with kids and other things? This is a typical week, but what would you do if you had 100% control over what happened during your work life and your children and all this other stuff? What would it look like? It's not only going to ensure that you get the margin that you need, but it's also going to help you focus on what matters the most. Crucial thing. I think I even gave a link to where you can download a blank ideal week, or you can pick up his Free to Focus planner and pick it up from there as well. Or just basically draw out a grid for every day of the week for 30-minute increments from, say, 6 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock at night. Draw a big old grid, do it in an Excel spreadsheet or Google Sheet, and just go in there and write out, this hour I would do this, and this hour I would do that, and 30 minutes I would do this, and this is where I would take a break, and this is when I would go to bed. It sounds trivial, but it really matters a lot. And you do this enough, you always review it, you revise it, but it's in the back of your head when you're planning your week. You just kind of remember that this is when you typically want to do stuff. And when you have control over it, you make your actual week align with your ideal week. Now, the next thing you do is to integrate this part 2 of the game changer moment, is to integrate the weekly preview with what we call the weekly and daily big 3. This is a really big thing. These tools are going to help you track your goals, your key projects, ensuring that you're executing your most essential things day in and day out. Daily big 3. What are the 3 most important things I need to do today? Now, in most to-do list and productivity things, it's all about having a list of 50 things you need to do today. Oh, my life's way too busy. I can't just 3 things. No, you limit yourself to what are the most important 3 things you can do. Now, you could list out other things, but what are your daily big 3? So these are things you must do at all costs at the expense of everything else. They should add up to your weekly big 3, and your weekly big 3 should add up to your quarterly goals, which should align with your life plan goals. But we'll talk all about that next week. But daily big 3s are really big secrets. Something that I just love and think that they're massively important to put into practice. So we've seen this idea of drudgery versus desire zone, huge secret. This fact that you need to eliminate, automate, and delegate tasks in your life to make sure that you have this ideal week. Another huge thing, this daily big 3 seems trivial, but huge thing that can make a difference in your life. And then we also have dealt with distractions and disruptions. We talked about this. The book emphasizes that the more control you have over disruptions, and you have more control than you realize, but the more that you tackle them and try to manage them, the better off you are. You can effectively, potentially even banish them, whether that's turning off notifications, using techniques that help you maintain focus, setting boundaries like a do not disturb sign. It's about creating a space that you're free to focus on the things that matter the most to you. Very, very important thing. As we approach this kind of summary of Free to Focus, it's important to discuss how to maintain momentum and navigate inevitable challenges. The book reminds us that high achievers are always on the move, but With the right system in place, you can keep your productivity steady even when new obstacles arise, and they will. Obstacles will happen. You will have setbacks. You will fail at times. The first step in staying on track, and this is kind of the overall vision of the book, the first step to staying on track is to stop. And that is in the midst of activity and chaos. It's important to take a pause, to step away, to clear your head, maybe take a walk, get a good night's sleep, to reflect and consider what are your true things. The second step is to cut things, and that is we all genuinely have too much on our plates. We need to continually use that process of eliminate, automate, delegate to prune things in our life. This isn't just a one-time thing. You're going to probably have to do this weekly, at least every month or quarter, start pruning some stuff. And then you act on things, which is where you do these ideal week and your daily big three and review your goals and things like that. You've cleared the path. It's time to move forward. What are the next steps that will give you a quick sense of progress? What the daily big three should be things that are really easy for you to do today. So it's not to write 10 chapters, but to write 1 page of chapter 1. That's something you can do. It's easy done. It's a no-fail option. You've got to make some progress. Starting is only half the battle. The other half is staying focused. Determine the strategies that will help you keep on track. And we talked about a lot of those in the book as well. What do you do to try to keep you on track? A little bit of your best year ever is in there too. You might want to go back and review some of that as well. So this is the big vision of this whole thing. Again, you want to have an ideal week. You want to plan daily and weekly big threes that are centered around your goals. And you want to put those into play by staying inside of your desire zone and looking at everything you do this week that are in the other zones, like the drudgery zone, and to apply elimination, automation, and delegation to get out of those as much as possible, to utilize technology like ChatGPT or focus modes on your iPhone or whatever the case may be, to eliminate distractions and to help give you a virtual assistant, like in the case of ChatGPT, that can help you do these things as well. So let's take a moment to reflect on the journey that we've taken from clearing the decks and setting a productivity baseline to automating, delegating, and planning our time effectively. Free to focus isn't just, again, about being more efficient. It's about being more effective, doing more of what matters and less of what does not. It's about creating a balance that not only enhances productivity, but also improves our overall quality of life. Remember that the key to productivity is not in doing more, but in doing the right things. As you apply these principles in your life, you're going to find yourself not only achieving more, but also experiencing greater satisfaction in your work and in your personal life as well. So I hope that you've enjoyed this series. Hope you've enjoyed this entire year that we basically devoted to these books by Michael Hyatt, which is a shame, again, that I couldn't get him on the show to do this, since we've spent so much time talking about his books. But oh well. All that really matters is that you got something out of it, that you picked up a few nuggets that are going to make your life better and more meaningful. And that's all that really, really matters in the end. So if you have any comments and ratings for me, I would love it if you let people know about this show, share it with them, post it on your Facebook page. Check out this show. It's awesome. And I would greatly appreciate that. You always have an outlet to reach out to me. As I've said many, many times, you can go onto my Facebook page, First Things Productivity, look me up, leave me messages, private messages, comment on things. You can reach out to my dedicated email address that is exclusively for you, me@firstthingsproductivity.com. Maybe at some point I get a shorter thing, because I know that's hard and probably easy to misspell. Some of you might have actually tried to email me. If you don't put in 2 T's for First Things, FIRSTTHINGS, or you don't make it plural, I mean, you won't reach me then, because it probably won't reach me, but that's how you get a hold of me. So until next time, remember this. What matters is that you have the freedom in life to focus in on the things that really matter to you. That's what productivity should be about. Are you doing that? And if not, apply some of the things we've been talking about. Create an ideal week. Get off your rear end and do it. Quit being lazy and thinking about it. Write it down. Write out your daily and weekly big 3. Look at everything you did and categorize it according to these 4 zones of how effective you are and how much you love it. The worst zone to be in is that drudgery zone. The best zone to be in is the desire zone. What can you eliminate, automate, and delegate that will enable you to move into those areas, and start doing that today. As always, embrace today with passion and intention, and don't die with your music still inside you. See you next time.